And you had sex with him?
Yes.
You were 27, he was 60. Were you physically attracted to him?
No.
Not at all?
No.
Did you want to have sex with him?
No. But I didn't say no. I'm not a victim. I'm not.
It was entirely consensual.
Oh, yes.
Hi there. I'm Professor Blackmore, and I want to welcome you to my Trial Lawyer Trick podcast. And yeah, I said it because I'm the trick of all things related to trial litigation. And I just tell it like it tis, irrespective of who the person is or how many people do or do not like them. And today, I'm going to tell you why I think this so-called pending indictment of Donald Trump for allegedly paying hush money to Stormy Daniels is nothing more than a trick in and of itself. I already know y'all don't like this dude, Donald Trump, because I'm just going to give my opinion, and it is what it is. Now, as you know by now, a post on Donald Trump's Truth social media account reveals that he thinks that he will be arrested on Tuesday in connection with a grand jury indictment in Manhattan. Now, in one of my day jobs, I teach law students how to draft contracts, and I've been using this very case in my class ever since it came up during the 2016 presidential election campaign. And over time, I've invented what I call a side piece settlement agreement. And if you've taken my side piece settlement agreement class, then you know that I strongly believe that you don't want to wait until you need a side piece settlement agreement to find out what it is, honey child. And so while y'all may call it a hush money agreement, I call it a side piece settlement agreement, because to do it the right way, you can't spill all of the tea in the main agreement, because then the agreement itself will defeat the purpose for which it was created, which is to keep it all on the down low, if you know what I mean. And so to do it the right way, you need a side agreement, or what some may call a side letter agreement, which is where you bury all of the bones about the side piece. And so to be able to be successful in prosecuting Donald Trump, Mr. Manhattan DA, you have to be able to draw a straight line from things Donald Trump did to bring about the end result of what was accomplished by the transaction, in addition to proving beyond a reasonable doubt what his intention was for carrying out the steps of each part of the transaction in this tangled up web of deception that had to be carried out to bring about the conclusion of this mess. And so, after I show you how this mess was set up, I want you to ask yourself if you think Donald Trump was even smart enough to know how to put this mess together, let alone knowing the purpose of the end result of what he was doing it for. Because as you will see, you can't draw a straight line between nothing in this transaction. Because that is what you need in a criminal litigation of a case. Not just any old proof, but you need proof beyond a reasonable doubt that Donald Trump, did what you're saying he did. And that means that he had to know what the hell he was doing. Now, I'm all for all of the circumstantial evidence and all of the things. And do I believe that Donald Trump slept with Stormy Daniels? Yes. Yes, I do. But stick with me. Because first of all, you have to prove that Donald Trump, actually made a direct payment to Stormy Daniels, which never happened, because the actual money was paid by Donald Trump's attorney, Michael Cohen, who says that Donald Trump reimbursed him for the payment, which you will see also never happened. And so now the crime is supposed to be that the payment that Michael Cohen made on Donald Trump's behalf, made to Stormy Daniels, was actually for the purpose of keeping her quiet, for the specific purpose of the upcoming 2016 United States presidential election campaign, of which Donald Trump was seeking to pursue. And so let's say that you can prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Donald Trump actually made a payment directly to Stormy Daniels, which you can't because it never happened. But even if you can, what if the purpose was as simple as he made the payment because he didn't want his wife to find out about the affair? My point is, without direct testimony from Donald Trump certifying what his purpose was, that is, if you can find a way to connect him to the transaction, how can you prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the purpose was 100% to avoid revelation of the affair for the purposes of the 2016 presidential campaign? And this is the crux of what must be proved beyond a reasonable doubt. And unless Donald Trump is stupid enough to take the stand and admit that this was his purpose, everything else is speculation. And so, keep those two top-line thoughts in mind while I show you how this tangled up mess of a transaction was set up. And so, let's look first at the preamble of this side piece settlement agreement, which states that the agreement is made, quote, by and between EC LLC and or David Dennison, DD, on the one part, and Peggy Peterson, PP, on the other part. EC, LLC, DD, and PP are the pseudonyms whose true identity will be acknowledged in a side letter or side piece agreement attached hereto as Exhibit A, end quote. And so these are the parties to this transaction: EC, LLC, DD, and PP. And the recitals of the agreement set forth in general the crux of the matter at issue, which was, quote, prior to entering into this agreement, PP came into possession of certain confidential information pertaining to DD, which includes, but is not limited to, information, certain still images and or text messages which were authored by or relate to DD. Now, DD claims that he has been damaged by PP's alleged threatened selling, transferring, licensing, publicly disseminating, and or exploiting the images and or property and or other confidential information relating to DD, end quote. Now, these are the terms of the settlement. Quote, EC LLC shall pay to PP $130,000 United States dollars wired into PP's attorney's attorney-client trust account. And as you can see here, the agreement was never signed by the person purported to be DD, i.e. Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump's signature does not appear anywhere on these documents. Donald Trump's attorney, Michael Cohen, signs the agreement on behalf of EC LLC, which, as you can see here in the agreement, stands for Essential Consultants LLC, which is the actual party to the agreement, i.e. EC LLC. And you may ask, well, how and where was this EC LLC, aka Essential Consultants LLC business entity formed? Well, as you can see here in the records of the Secretary of State for the state of Delaware, the entity was formed in Delaware. Donald Trump's name is nowhere associated with the formation of this business entity. The entity was presumably formed by Michael Cohen, and the entity is actually still an active Delaware entity. Now, Michael Cohen signed the agreement for EC LLC, and Donald Trump never signs the agreement as the so-called DD party. Then, Michael Cohen takes out a home equity line of credit in the amount of $130,000, and he, not Donald Trump, who clearly we would think has $100,000 that he could just hand Michael Cohen instead of Michael Cohen taking out a home equity line of credit, but that is neither here nor there. And so he, Michael Cohen, not Donald Trump, directly makes the wire transfer payment to Stormy Daniels' attorney trust account. Now, I've never been able to find checks in the total amount of $100,000 made out to Michael Cohen to reimburse him for the total $130,000 amount that he paid to Stormy Daniels. But I guess the so-called evidence would try to establish that there are two checks written on the account of the Donald Trump revocable trust account and signed by Donald Trump Jr. and the Trump Organization's chief financial officer, Alan Weissenberg. Now, only one of these two checks, dated March 1st, 2017, in the amount of $35,000 has ever made the light of day. And so there's only one check being signed by people other than Donald Trump, which puts into question whether he knew about it or not. Then there is another known payment written on the personal account of Donald Trump dated August 1st, 2017, signed by Donald Trump himself. And we all know this signature when we see it. Now, neither of these two checks establish that they are in any way, shape, form, or fashion connected to the Stormy Daniels transaction. And I don't see how you prove beyond a reasonable doubt that they are. Now, I guess you can say that you have this circumstantial evidence of Michael Cohen's testimony, but he has a relationship with Donald Trump that has since failed, and he doesn't like him. So how much of his testimony can be taken as truth beyond a reasonable doubt? I leave that all up to other people to ascertain. But what you have to bring is proof beyond a reasonable doubt. And again, you can't even piece together that any of these checks total $130,000. Now, for those of you who are curious about what's in the side letter agreement, it states that it, quote, is understood and agreed that the true name and identity of the person referred to as Peggy Peterson in the settlement agreement is Stephanie Gregory Clifford, aka Stormy Daniels, if that's clear as mud. So you say that it's Peggy Peterson, aka her real name really is Stephanie Gregory Clifford, but she uses a pseudonym and calls herself Stormy Daniels, which is not her real name. Anyway, y'all. And it is understood and agreed that the true name and identity of the person referred to as David Dennison in the settlement agreement is, let's just say that this says Donald Trump. But the side letter agreement is also not signed by Donald Trump. So the only thing that you have is this one check signed by Donald Trump in the amount of $35,000 made payable to Michael Cohen, which does not match the amount of the $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels in connection with the agreement that she entered into with EC LLC, not Donald Trump. That was never signed nor acknowledged by Donald Trump. In addition, because Stormy Daniels, under the direction of her lawyer, who is now in prison, sued Donald Trump for defamation for a tweet that he put out, and she ended up losing that case, she was later ordered to pay Trump $300,000 in attorney's fees. And so, How you get a grand jury indictment out of this flimsy mess is beyond me. But in the meantime, as you know on here, I just ask and report, and I'll let you decide. So what do you think? Do you think on these flimsy facts, if this mess even ever sees the inside of a courtroom, do you think the Manhattan DA will be able to prove a campaign violation connected to this agreement that Stormy Daniels entered into with EC LLC, Michael Cohen, and payment made by EC LLC with no discernible connection to Donald Trump? Please let me know by leaving your comments in the comment section below. And I hope you'll also give me a big thumbs up. And I hope you'll also consider donating to this video and my entire channel ministry by clicking the Super Thanks Her button below, or by donating to the Professor Blackmore Cash App. And while you're there, I hope you'll also subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the bell so you'll be notified whenever I come back with more of my trial lawyer trick analysis on this side piece settlement agreement case. And please also follow me on TikTok and Instagram.